Well guys, in today's video I have one goal and one goal only for this video. I want to expose the systemic hatred of Tesla coming out of CNBC, a company that has almost like a monopoly type market share on the financial information and interviews and opinion that comes out around stocks. And this organization essentially has this like a systemic hatred of Tesla stock. And I want you guys to judge for yourself after seeing this video. Now, some of you guys, you might have already recognized this over time, especially if you've been watching the network for a while and you care anything about Tesla. Even if you're not a shareholder of Tesla, you might have recognized this, okay? But I want you to really watch this video, judge for yourself, and tell me if you see a trend, okay? I want you guys to do me a favor at the end of this video. Hit a thumbs up if you agree with me that, you know, they treat Tesla different. And when I say different, in a very negative light. And if you don't agree with me and you think, oh no, they just treat Tesla like every other stock out there, hit a thumbs down. I don't really care what you do, but let me know your opinion. And let me know in the comments section what your opinion is as well. That's all I want from you guys, okay? So let me first start out by saying I have nothing against CNBC, okay? I have nothing against them, but I will call them out on their BS in regards to the subject. I will absolutely do that, okay? CNBC, the app, is on my front page of my iPad, the device I use more than any other device. It's right on the front page. This is an app I use pretty much daily, CNBC. I go there just to kind of see like what's going on in the markets as far as the Dow, the NASDAQ, S&P 500. What are kind of some big headlines? Is there something I missed out there that's going on in the market? I use CNBC almost on a daily basis, and to be on my front page is a big deal, okay? You know, we got the OVO app on there, okay? If you're on there with the OVO app, man, you have to be pretty important to my life, okay? And I started watching CNBC a long time ago, okay? Back when basically I started kind of in the stock market, and it was phenomenal for learning a ton of terminology in regards to stocks. You know, when you're basically starting the stock market, learning stock market terms, it's literally like learning a foreign language. You hear these words like EBITDA and net income and gross margin and balance sheet and all these different items, and you're just like, you know, you're just like trying to figure all out, and share dilution and dividend yield, and you don't really, if you don't know this stuff, like it's literally like learning a foreign language. And I never had anybody to teach me any of this stuff, so I would watch CNBC and I learned a ton, and I would watch all the different shows, Mad Money with Jim Cramer and Fast Money and Squawk on the Street and Closing Bell and all those different shows, and I would just pick up on terminology over time. So that was actually how I learned a ton about stock market terminology, and just like listening to these folks talk back and forth and be like, oh, that's what this means. Oh, they're talking about this, okay? So I have nothing literally against CNBC, but there's a clear as day bias against Tesla stock from this massive news organization. And CNBC is by far and away the biggest and most dominant player when it comes to the financial markets, the stock market, any news coming out, anything. They're dominant, okay? So where do I even start with this? I mean, there's so much data and so much proof I can show you here, okay? So there's a very popular show on CNBC. This show is called Fast Money, okay? And it's a show, I think it comes on around 2 o'clock Vegas time. And sometimes in the background while I'm prepping a video, I'll put on, you know, the CNBC Fast Money show, and I'll just kind of have it on in the background, and every once in a while they'll talk about something that'll kind of pique my interest, and I'll kind of listen for a minute. And this show, they have these two guys, okay? I think one of them's name is Dan Nathan, I want to say. The other one, I believe, is Tim Seymour, okay? And these guys are consistent Tesla haters. They are very consistent. I mean, every single time it seems like Tesla's brought up, they always have a negative tone toward Tesla and what Tesla's doing and valuation, and it just seems like they're always negative. It's just a question of how negative will they be today? Will it be like a negative on like a 5 scale, or more like all the way up to a 10, okay? That's basically the question, okay? So I go out of my way to record Fast Money on Friday, you know, kind of thinking, oh, they're going to have to do a segment on this, right? I mean, after all, Tesla went up that day $150 a share, over a 10% move. They're going to have to do a segment on Tesla stock, okay? And so I set the DVR to record an hour and a half of Fast Money, okay? Which I actually don't get to watch until actually Saturday night. I record an hour and a half of it. I go through the entire thing, okay? And by the way, the show is usually only an hour, but for whatever reason, they did an hour and a half, I guess, because Kramer was off for the week or something like that. So I record an hour and a half of the show, okay? And they never even do a segment on it, okay? Not a peep from the Tesla haters out there. An hour and a half show, and you'd think, oh my gosh, with that massive of a move, $150 in one day, they have to do a segment. They don't even do a segment. Absolutely Unbelievable, okay? So here we are today. I went ahead and I set fast money to record again because I'm like, I bet you they're going to talk about it here today, okay? You know why? Because Tesla, it went up a bunch and then it fell. And Tesla stock actually went down 3% today. And so I was like, I bet you any money they're gonna do a little piece and mention a little bit about Tesla stock here today, even though it's not nearly as interesting to talk about Tesla stock today on a 3% downward move as it was on Friday when the stock was up $150 a share and was up over 10%, okay? But still, I bet you they'll talk about it. And sure enough, 7 minutes into the program, there they are talking about how Tesla stock fell 3%. And it's so typical. Let's talk about it in depth and give opinion when there's something negative to talk about. But if there's something positive, like a 10% move, now let's just like sweep it under the door, essentially. This is what happens there, okay? Now, I go on to the CNBC. Remember, I said this on my front page, right? Go on there, literally just, recently. And 2 hours ago, I see this post. Tesla gives up 16% pop to close negative in wild speculative trading. Wow. This is a type of terminology we can come to expect when the discussion is around Tesla stock. Now, if this was some other stocks out there, nah, we won't call it wild speculative trading. We'll just call it volatility, okay? I mean, here we are with stocks like Zoom, right? That have gone from a $19 billion market cap to a $77 billion market cap. And I've never seen CNBC put out some headline talking about wild speculative trading in regards to Zoom stock. Zoom trades at a 97 price to sales ratio versus Tesla, which trades at a 9, okay? We're talking about a 10x price to sales ratio on Zoom versus Tesla. But once again, I've never seen a headline come out of CNBC talking about wild speculative trading in regards to Zoom stock, okay? Shopify has seen its valuation in a matter of a few months go from $35 billion to $120 billion. It has seen its forward P go to 10,000. It has seen its price to sales ratio go to 67. And I've never seen them describe Shopify stock as wild speculative trading around Shopify stock today. Amazon has added $700 billion of market cap in the matter of, 9 months or so? $700 billion in market cap. And never hear them describe words like that. But this is literally what we should expect from CNBC when it comes to the way they write articles, the way they come at Tesla consistently. They use terminology like this that puts down the stock and just treats it as it's some wild speculative stock. And let's just get caught up in the stock price and how wild and speculative it is. Let's not worry all about what the company's actually doing. It's what we have to expect, okay? Kathy Wood has gone on CNBC several times, okay? And you ever been able to just pick up like vibes of an interview and whatnot? So every time Kathy Wood goes on, I always feel, whoever is kind of interviewing her, asking her questions, there's just kind of like that vibe out there that like, she's crazy. Like, oh my gosh, her price targets are crazy. She's just a crazy lady talking crazy about this wild speculative stock called Tesla, right? Every single time I watched her go on, almost every single time, there's just that underlying vibe that's just, coming from the people that are interviewing her. And they just consistently bring up the bearish case around this stock and try to make her, try to back her in a corner, essentially. It's so ugly, man. It is so ugly, but it's consistent. It's what you have to expect from CNBC, okay? Let's look at this, okay? Remember when Tesla, there was an analyst that came out, Tesla to $10. Isn't it funny that all the financial networks were like talking about this like crazy, and who was the main one right at the top, okay? Of course it is CNBC. Oh my gosh, did they have a field day with that one? They loved that day when all of a sudden that guy comes out from Morgan Stanley and he says, Tesla's going at $10 a share, which was just a great call by him. Yeah, it went to $10 all right, okay? And I mean, holy smokes, they couldn't stop talking about it on that day. I mean, they just did, piece after piece after piece after piece on CNBC Television that day, just talking about, oh wow, this guy believes that Tesla's going to $10 and go, oh, this is so funny. It's amazing, okay? Now, they've had other Tesla bulls on other than Cathie Wood in the past. Somebody like Ron Barron, okay? An unbelievably successful investor. And every time he tries to talk positive about Tesla on the program, he's a big believer in the company, big investor in the company, they continually bring up the short thesis again and again and again. And they consistently try to back him in a corner and consistently try to give the short thesis out there. It is absolutely unbelievable. I've watched, several interviews of him in the past. And it's like they never give like a positive spin to the question. It's always coming from a negative angle every single time. And he'll try to, talk about his bullish points around the stock and what they're doing, and they come right back with a bear thesis. They come back right with the bear talking points every single time. And it's like, this guy's an incredibly, high-level investor, and all you keep bringing him is negativity and short thesis talk, and you never talk about what the company's doing positive, and they'd much rather talk about, what Elon Musk was involved with the SEC and things like that, rather than talk about what Tesla is doing right now, the technology. They don't seem that interested in that. Let's just bring up short thesis after short thesis, okay? In one interview, oh gosh, it was hilarious. They were trying to basically ask him questions and tell him essentially that the dealership model is a good model and that Tesla has a disadvantage because of dealerships. And what's your opinion on that? Just always coming from that negative angle. And it's hilarious. It's absolutely hilarious. Like any of us that understand Tesla stock on a high level understand that one of Tesla's, let's say 5 or 10 biggest competitive advantages is the fact that Tesla doesn't have to deal with a dealer network where all these other guys do. And that's why most of these other car companies are going to fail when it comes to electric vehicles, because the dealerships, they want to make money on service, and electric vehicles aren't going to have as much service. That's not good for the dealership model. So this is another reason why, the majority of these automakers are likely going to go under over the next 5 to 10 years or have to consolidate. It's literally hilarious to watch these interviews, okay? And so Ron Barron is consistently asked negative question after negative question, which, by the way, I'm not going to show any of the interview because I don't want to get copyright strikes or anything like that, and I would hate for this video to get taken down because I think I'm going to bring some useful information here and kind of, showing and exposing this. So I don't want to get any copyright strikes, but you can watch these interviews for yourself. And Ron Barron consistently gets attacked on the negative side and has to bring it back to the positive. And he goes into, Tesla could be $1 trillion company by 2030. And oh my gosh, that Joe guy at the end of the desk, he looked like his head was just going to explode out of madness, okay? Which, by the way, I don't think I've ever seen that guy really have a big smile in my life, okay? Until a few weeks ago when, of course, they bring on a bearish guy in regards to Tesla, okay? And it's hilarious. Joe cracks the biggest smile I've ever seen on that guy. I've been watching CNBC for a long, long time, okay? And I'm not the biggest fan of that guy personally, I can tell you that. And he has the biggest smile on his face when a bear comes on in regards to Tesla stock. He just can't wait. Just bury Tesla stock. Just talk negative about it. And he just has this smile ear to ear like I've never seen before. It's literally comical. And meanwhile, there's no bring up the bull points around Tesla stock and let's have this guy, let's try to back him in a corner and really prove his bear thesis. No, it's just just run wild. Just run wild on the stock. And of course, the entire video, that guy gets to talk non-stop. You can confirm this stuff if you want to watch these videos. Non-stop, the guy just talks and talks and talks about his bear thesis and why Tesla is doomed in the back half of the year, blah, blah, blah. That's all he does. No interruptions. No well, did you see what Tesla just did? No oh, let's give the bullish case and make let's try to back him in a corner and let's make him bring out his bearish thesis. No, none of that. The bears don't have to go through anything like the bulls have to go through on CNBC, okay? One of the faces of CNBC is a guy named Jim Cramer, okay? Arguably the face of CNBC, or definitely one of the faces, right? And he was for a long time seen as somebody that was very negative around Tesla stock. Maybe not as much as some of the other folks on CNBC, but he was somebody that was seen as negative. And then the tide turned, earlier this year, essentially, and Jim Cramer went to the bullish side of Tesla and started speaking, pause about Tesla. Now, keep in mind, Tesla stock had already made a big run at that time, and it had gone up considerably. Whereas before, Tesla stock stock was in the 200s and made a run all the way up to almost $500. And then Jim Cramer, all of a sudden he's, positive around Tesla stock. And that's cool. He went from basically being a bear on the stock to kind of being bullish on the stock. But for a lot of the folks on CNBC, it is not that way, okay? Jim Chanos has been able to go on CNBC several different times and be able to talk so freely, nonstop about his bearish thesis around Tesla stock and why Tesla stock is doomed and why it's going to go down so much and, all this stuff, okay? Including just 3 months ago, Jim Chanos said he was maximum short Tesla, which I say that's rough, okay? Tesla was in the 400s when that video came out. He said maximum short. I think Tesla is, I don't know, $1,400 or $1,500 today. So it's a long way from the 400s where he was quote unquote maximum short. And keep in mind, he would go on CNBC all the time when Tesla was $200 and $300 and consistently talk about he was so short in the stock. So a lot of his shares are probably short in the 200s and 300s. And today at $1,400 or $1,500, like the losses must just be, I can't even imagine literally the losses, and especially when you're talking about things like your maximum short. That's absolutely incredible. But Jim Chanos has always been able to go on there and just give his bearish thesis and just talk negative about Tesla stock over and over and over again. And people see Jim Chanos as somebody that had made a lot of money in the market way back in the day. Like Jim Chanos had a success in the market that was a really big success, but it was like literally 20 years ago. But because he had that one really big success, like people really look at him as some people idolize him, and some people probably just latched onto his bearish thesis around this stock and have been shorting it in the 200s. And who knows if Tesla stock will ever see the 200s again? Like that's a long dang way from these guys ever even thinking about making a profit. But when you watch interviews with Jim Chanos, they never really give the bullish thesis. They just let him talk and talk and talk about his bear thesis and why Tesla's doomed, okay? This is a funny video. This one's called Tesla is a must-own stock. It was basically a Piper Jaffray analyst, basically said earlier this year that, Tesla was a must-own stock. Tesla at that time was in the 300s during this video, if I recall. And, the guy that kind of hosts the program, he's one that in my opinion is already, another talking head that's negative around Tesla stock. And he says, none of you guys think this because none of you guys own this stock. And all those people, none of them own Tesla stock, okay? And it's just another video that comes from a negative angle around Tesla stock and just gives a full negative vibe around this particular stock with all these different people, and they're all laughing at the fact that none of them own Tesla stock. And who would own a Tesla stock? And this is just crazy. This guy talking about this as a must-own stock. Give me a break, okay? This video is unbelievable. I had to watch this one, okay? And a lot will tell you, when you look at thumbs up and thumbs down ratios, it's going to tell you a lot about a video. Let's just, just put it that way, okay? This one was quite funny, okay? Analyst Gordon Johnson said there's 64% downside ahead for Tesla, okay? And what's amazing about this guy's, full bearish around Tesla stock, right? And he's about to talk super negative about Tesla stock and why the stock's doomed and why it's going to go down 64% and all these sorts of things. And so you'd think the talking head that hosts the show, you would think, oh, he's going to probably give a little bit of bull case and try to make this guy argue a little bit. No, he goes the other way. He gives a full bear case for the guy. He says, well, your negative point is this, but what about all these other negative points around Tesla stock? It is literally unbelievable. You can't make this stuff up. It's absolutely ridiculous. It is absolutely, he gives a full bear case. There's this negative, there's this point, there's this point, there's this point. You should have brought out all this. You should be even more bearish. Unbelievable. And is this guy really in a place where he should be giving his opinion and making a bearish thesis for the guy that's already bearish? It's just unbelievable. This is how it works on CNBC. If you go on CNBC and you're a Tesla bull, okay, you're somebody that believes in the stock, you're an investor in the stock, you have to hear nothing but the bear case and the negative points around Tesla. Interview after interview, you can go through them, you have to hear nothing but the bear case, okay? Meanwhile, a Tesla bear goes on CNBC and you get smiles, you get a bear case made for you, you get, just all the talking time you need. You don't need to get interrupted. You can talk for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes straight about why Tesla stock is going to go down so much and why the stock is just a piece of junk and this and that. It's quite amazing, guys. It is literally quite amazing. And I've noticed this time and time again from the CNBC network, okay? What I ask for you guys is share this video around, okay? Share this video around and write to CNBC. Tell these folks to be somewhat fair when it comes to Tesla stock, because it's clear as day for anybody that watches this network or ever is, cares to watch this network or use its app or website or anything, it's very clear they're not fair when it comes to stock. And the issue with this is CNBC has almost a monopoly type market share on financial information that's given out there. They have literally almost a monopoly share on all the news that comes out and these interviews and opinion around different stocks and things like that. They have almost there's no real competition for them, okay? I'm surely not competition with my few videos a week I put out. I put out, between my two channels, maybe like 7 to 9 videos or something like that a week versus CNBC that puts out hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of videos a week. I'm no competition for them with my 500,000 subscribers and 100K on the other channel when they got almost 1.7 mil and 750,000. Never mind, if you want to watch any type of financial information on cable news, they're really the only ones you really have nowadays. I mean, I got a million channels out there, and I don't know of one other financial news network I get on my television with all those channels other than CNBC. They have literally like a monopoly market share on the financial media landscape. And so this is why it's important that we hold these guys and gals to a higher standard. And we say, treat this company like you treat the other companies. Try to be somewhat impartial here, okay? Try to be somewhat impartial, especially when you guys are like the only game in town. Because, a lot of folks have never gotten in the stock, maybe because they've heard so much negativity put out there around Tesla stock, and they missed out on a lot of money just because they had this guy on and they just seem to always be bearish, and just that type of vibe consistently against the stock. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. As always, once again, I have nothing against CNBC. I'm sure folks at CNBC are going to end up seeing this video. I have nothing against you guys, okay? I don't want any drama because I'm surely not in a position to fight you guys, okay? You're a little bit bigger than me, to say the least, but I will absolutely, speak my mind on the subject. This is something I've seen, and I don't think it's right. Let's just put it that way, especially when you're the only game in town. Somebody turns on their television and they want to watch, any type of stock market news. They have one option. It's CNBC. There's really no other options. Like I said, I got a million channels and I don't have another financial network I can watch other than CNBC. And when you're coming at it negative all the time, I just think there's something wrong with that, in my personal opinion. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Make sure you smash the thumbs up or thumbs down if you don't agree with my stance on this. I would love to, see what you guys think about this and leave me a comment down there. Thank you for watching and have a great day.